Let's start with the President's Supreme Court pick. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota is a member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator Klobuchar, let me ask you about this military recruiters issue. I wonder whether the Republicans, your colleagues, will turn it on the, convert it to that standard narrative. Barack Obama doesn't care about defending the country. Here he is picking a court nominee who said you couldn't recruit for the ROTC or recruit for the military at Harvard.
Well, I really hope not, Chris. First, you should know that 3 law students, when Elena Kagan was dean at Harvard, who were Iraq veterans, actually wrote in her defense and said, you know what, she's someone that made a very welcome atmosphere for veterans here at the law school. You have the fact that she addressed the cadets at West Point, talked about that her life, her security was there because of them and the work they did on the front line. This was just simply about her enforcing a policy, a non-discrimination policy that wasn't just about sexual preference. It was also about gender and race and religion in her own law school.
Well, do you think the recruiters should be allowed to go to the University of Minnesota and recruit from the military?
I think now that the law has been clear with the Solomon Amendment that that's happening, but what I'd like to see is a change to that policy. I think you see Admiral Mullen on the front line saying he wants to see a change, Defense Secretary Gates, and if you have the top leaders of our military saying that they want to see a change in the policy, the fact that Elena Kagan has in the past said that that was her personal opinion to see a change, I would hope that that wouldn't be used against her as the only reason someone would vote against her. That makes no sense. They may not agree with her opinion, but they have to look at whether she's qualified to be a justice on the Supreme Court. She clearly is. She's earned the respect of everyone she's worked with. When she was up for Solicitor General, 5 former Republican Solicitor Generals supported her.
So recruitment of military on campus is all right with you?
Again, I want to see a change in the policy, Chris, as do so many of my colleagues, as do the leadership in the military, and then we won't have that issue anymore. I support changing the don't ask, don't tell policy.
Okay, let me ask you, does it disturb you that Elena Kagan has already said under testimony that she doesn't believe there's a constitutional protection for people who seek to marry somebody of their own gender? Does that bother you that she seems to have foreclosed that issue, which is maybe well be on its way to the court because of Ted Olson and David Boyce in their challenge to the California law?
Again, I want to look at that. I hadn't seen that part of her testimony. I was there at the judiciary hearing for other things that she commented on and was really impressed by the way she handled questions from Democrats or Republicans. But I think that she's someone, when she comes before us, I think she'll tell us what I believe a good judge should do, that she'll look at each case on its merits, that she is not going to be someone that's going to come to the case with a set decision. Because you look at her record, you look at how she was at Harvard, open-minded to other points of view. That's what she is. She's someone that calls it when she sees it and she makes a decision, and that's why people admire her from both sides of the aisle. Remember, Thurgood Marshall was her mentor. He adored her. Mikva was someone else that she clerked for. You look down the line at who she worked for, President Clinton, President Obama, they both have great faith in her ability to do the job.
Yeah, I think Mikva's great too, and certainly Thurgood Marshall. I do worry, though, about a candidate for the Supreme Court who's already made up their mind on this key issue that's coming to the court. They may well give cert on this. Here's Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, obviously going after Kagan for the usual partisan reasons. This guy's like the no man. Let's listen.
Of course, one does not need to have prior experience as a judge before being appointed to the country's highest court. But it strikes me that if a nominee does not have judicial experience, they should have substantial litigation experience. Ms. Kagan has neither. Unlike Justice Rehnquist, for instance, who was in private practice for 16 years prior to his appointment as Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legal Counsel, a job he had at the time of his appointment to the Supreme Court.
I have a feeling, Senator, that Senator Excitement we just heard from there may well have said the opposite had this been somebody with judicial experience. He would have said, I'm just guessing, why don't we pick somebody without judicial experience?
Well, first of all, Chris, let's look. Justice Rehnquist, who I don't think they would hardly criticize, came in there with no judicial experience. You look at Frankfurter, Brandeis. These are great justices who came onto the court without that experience of being a judge. I welcome this idea that we could have one justice on that court that had some real-world experience in terms of the government, in terms of being out in the private sector. She's had that experience, and I think that that's a positive.
Okay, I'm looking for a rub here. You say it doesn't concern you, her position on recruitment on campus at Harvard. It doesn't concern you about her statement earlier about same-sex marriage. Does it concern you that she has supported Bush administration policy on the retention of people we're not holding for trial down at Gitmo?
Again, when she made that statement, I was there at that hearing when Lindsey Graham was questioning her, Chris. She was being an advocate for the administration's position, for Attorney General's position, Attorney General Holder at that time. As Justice Roberts said succinctly at his own hearing, you can be an advocate, but then you also have to be a judge. So again, I think these are worthy questions. I wouldn't say it doesn't concern me. These are questions we're all going to ask her, and we'd like to hear answers to them. What I'm saying is you have to look at the big picture of her background here. What she is, Chris, is someone of extreme intelligence that's going to be a counterweight to Roberts on that court. She is someone who can build coalitions. And what I care most about, Chris, is that we get some opinions where Kennedy's on the side of the right, that's on the side of doing the right thing here, as opposed to the right wing. We want to get some things done on this court, and she has proven herself to be someone who can build those coalitions and is an incredibly smart person who can match Roberts decision by decision, point by point.